noticing I did a residential. I'm VP Business Development for them. I'm a consultant in the industry. Jack is a senior project manager, so he's a key point person for you when we start looking at specific projects. Any technical support, any help of any kind, quotations, things like that, specifications. We have a wide range of windows, but this is where we've really cut our teeth. We've done a lot of historic projects. We've done a lot of national parks projects, a lot of big mill buildings. Some sense of what this product is all about is some of the features that we really like about it. The interior snap-in piece is the glazing bead that clamps the glass in place. But this is a very important feature too, in that this pops out, and it's obviously got the beveled detail, but you can anchor through here, underneath here. You can anchor through it, and then you can snap this bead over it. So it makes for a really simple, really clean installation. It's all AW performance, less than 0.01 air, because they can't report zero, because 12 pounds of water, and that's both fixed and operable units. These are like three versions of our structural mullion. You get small, medium, and family size. We're not averse to cutting new dies if we need. If we don't currently have something, we're pretty open about cutting another die. That's why we get that many penny shapes. Most of those were because of projects we had to beat the historic look on. So you've got that window kind of in the middle that's got that really funky detail to it. And what we did is we brought into our shop, those windows in our shop, we digitized them to see what the surface area was like. And this gives you some sense of, I think the shipbuilding industry was slow that year. Anyhow, that is a thermally broken, high energy performance aluminum window. The Diamond Windows.
Yay.
So maybe
Hopefully Ed'll be here shortly.
From outside, it doesn't look that big. No, I know, we kept the original part of the building.
it's got the narrow sight line, which you
Right.
need to
Which is
replicate
really
a
nice.
steel. Yep. And that we incorporate the putty bead throughout the framing system, and that holds true of both fixed. We have casement, we have project out, we have combination windows, anything you can imagine. You can see these exterior grids are actually fastened, as you can see,
Oh, yeah.
to the frame. That's important because when you're sticking up grids on the glass, a few things that aren't good about that. One is, are they going to stay on the glass?
Right.
The other thing is, you actually can glaze from behind. You look, there is a gap between the back side of that exterior grid and the surface of the glass here.
Yeah.
That's important because these windows typically have a fairly significant grid pattern, and you get dust and dirt in here, and it sounds like a minor thing, but in certain environments you end up with a really messy looking, it cakes in there, and then this
Water runs down in it.
yeah, this actually flushes it out
Yep.
very well. I'm not
Yep.
going to say that you can't, dirt not going to get on this, but huge difference in how it looks over
Right.
time. A couple of other things, everything's thermally broken.
Mm-hmm.
We do have all the usual accessories. We've got the strap anchors. Sometimes you got to use a strap anchor because you've got, you can't fasten into air. That never works real well. So sometimes, in evaluating, each building's different, but the wall section, where can we anchor that's going to make sense? And sometimes a strap anchor is a very good alternative. So we also, even though it's really not our responsibility, we help you with looking at the whole wall window. That can be challenging. These are old buildings. How do we best get that opening right so that you're going to have a good weather-tight installation that's going to be historically accurate, that's going to perform really well thermally and from an energy standpoint, and from a building envelope, just water tightness standpoint. So we like to be involved in that process because, even though that's not our responsibility, we can bring a lot of expertise to the table, and in the end, if the project's successful, we've all succeeded. This is an example of, this was not the mock-up, but this was one of the first windows that went in, and we were right in the middle of that whole process. Working with the architect, working with the installer, working with the building owner and the owner's rep and everyone, all the usual suspects. How we may be different in how our design sort of evolves. This corner window, I mean, that was the result of our design work. That was the first mock-up we actually built, and then we set it up for testing to make sure it met the AW0 less than 0.01 air, 12 pounds of water, all the important things. So we went through that process, and we actually, there were 3 specific products that we went through that evolution. You've got a building that's historic, and then somewhere in that building, usually in the bottom floor, you've got a boxy looking storefront that doesn't really match what was historically there. So what we did, and we partnered with B.R. Johnson on this, we took a look at remedying that, and the architect was going to be doing the typical storefront. He says, is there something you can do to help me just make look like they belong together?
So
right.
what was proposed replicated what could be discerned from historic photographs, I'm assuming, right? Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yep.
So to soften it up and make it look much more historic.
But you guys worked with historic photographs to get these back towards what?
With the architect, in conjunction with
in
the architect.
conjunction with the architect.
Pierre Johnson and Diamond Windows. We have a question. Am I waiting?
Project, and here's our historic window, where a company that says, what do you need to achieve with this? And if it's something we have, great. If it's something we don't have, we will explore. We will do some redesign, tweaking of existing products. Sometimes we're designing a whole new product. I'll talk about that a little bit. A few features of this window that I think are important to point out, which is in some cases are unique to us, or at least different than some other manufacturers, is these exterior grids are pinned. You see how they're the screw there, how they're pinned. That has 2 advantages. One is you're guaranteed that grid is going to stay. If you look here at between the back of the grid and the glass, there's a little bit of a gap there, just a little bit of a space. You can see that here.
So there's not water still penetrate behind it then?
No, it just flows, you know, dirt and dust that gets on the exterior surface of the glass, it can be washed through. If you have a lot of grids on a glass and you have a high dust environment, or even just an average dust environment, you end up with a black accumulation of dust on every grid.
Okay.
And it keeps it really amazingly clean. I'm not going to say that dirt doesn't get on the window, obviously,
Yeah.
but it does help an enormous amount.
Half of that panning that we've done over the years. And all these are, and that tree gets bigger and bigger every year that we look at it.
Concert with B.R. Johnson, what we did is work on an idea where we needed a very smooth, very narrow profile transition piece to transition into this storefront system that B.R. Johnson was very familiar with. And then we redesigned caps for this that would have that putty bead transition look to it. So what we ended up with ultimately is we had the existing storefront on your left there, and then we did on the right, we just matched up more with what was historic, based on what we could see from pictures of the original building. And it really fits, it looks like it belongs with the windows that run up the vertical of the building. So it was just one of those things that we love a challenge.